when your faith becomes a political punching bag in a nation that separates church from state?
He's an Arab.
Islamism.
Muslims.
Who's God's candidate? Donald Trump.
Bigot.
Bernie Sanders.
Suspect.
Hillary Clinton.
Same old, same old.
Ted Cruz.
I don't think I use the word on television.
Muslims overwhelmingly backed George Bush #1 for president, and then Barack Obama came, and by a margin of like 98% they voted for Obama. But you're the political salmon. You went the other way.
The reason George Bush got 70% of our community's vote was because Republican values align with their Islamic values. We're very much pro-life, pro-traditional family values, traditional marriage, pro-business, trade, things that our community cares about usually align with the Republican Party, and that's why we were supporting them by a huge margin. But sadly, after 9/11, our community felt betrayed by the Bush administration policies in terms of the surveillance and targeting of Muslims, and therefore many people left Republicans for Democrats.
The Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR, is the nation's largest Muslim civil rights advocacy organization. In their 6-state poll of some 2,000 Muslim voters, 46% supported Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders garnered 25% of the votes, and 11% are ready to pull the lever for Donald Trump.
From Brooklyn, registered Republican.
You are?
I am.
Great.
But I won't be for much longer. For a few important reasons, right? I mean, my faith encourages certain ideals, certain beliefs that I don't think are resonating with the Republican Party anymore.
Which means Saba Ahmed has some work to do. She's here at the Muslim Community Center in Sunset Park to build a Republican-Muslim coalition.
I think the work that we're doing is the work of God. I think God wants us to present a different side of Muslims to America, and as challenging as it may be, if I can change the opinion of one person who hates Muslims, I think it's all worth it.
To what end?
The biggest problem for Republicans right now is Islamists. National security, defense is huge for Republicans, and their biggest problems is Muslims. And if Muslims can get involved in the Republican Party, they can change that narrative, and they can actually help solve all of GOP's problems.
But what if your problems are rooted in the Republican rhetoric? At the Masjid at-Taqwa in Bed-Stuy, that means raising consciousness and shutting down police surveillance.
Give in and accept what I have put on him.
When we're put in this type of box where everybody's looking at us, strange, and everybody's we're under some suspicion or some scrutiny, then we're not able to function.
Well, how does that manifest itself when it's time to vote?
Well, we look at the candidates. And we look at the candidates that have our interests on, and then we look at the ones that don't.
What gets the Muslim vote is when you talk about the injustices that are not only happening to Muslims here, but happening abroad. When you talk about improving the conditions, not for Muslims, but for everybody. And being a good Muslim means taking care of your neighbor, being concerned about your neighbor.
Muslim or not.
Muslim or not.
Muslim or not, thousands protested in the street, while the 3 GOP contenders addressed a $1,000 a plate Republican gala.
Being a good Muslim translates into, being someone who stands up for justice, someone who fights for what's right, and doing good things. So that's what, we're doing here today.
Being Muslim is political. So we're out here voting against hate. We're out here voting and showing that we do have political power, that we know how this process works.
A process that could alter the course of 3.3 million Muslims, who make up 1% of the U.S. population, and about 100,000 New York votes. Does your job get exponentially harder the night after Donald Trump makes a bonehead statement?
I'm not too concerned about his anti-Islamic rhetoric. I hope that's going to fall apart by the time he actually goes through the general election.
Wake up. Trump stands against everything that we are as Muslims, against our values of justice, of equality, of compassion, of love. He's opposite that. There is no reason to be supporting Trump in this race.
If you walk into the voting booth, are you presenting as a Muslim voter or a voter who's Muslim?
I'm going as a United States citizen.
When I vote, I'm praying the whole time that not only that this person improves things for myself, but for my community.
Who is God's candidate?
Well, not candidate, but chosen. Who's his chosen? His chosen is his messengers and his prophets.
God is not in that in any. Has nothing to do with any of these candidates. I can't say that has nothing to do with anything with godly.
They're all people of God, and we believe in forgiveness and humbleness before God.
Oh, God knows best about that.
So, who's God's candidate? Asked and answered.